Hi, everybody. I hope you're all very well today. And I'd like to talk to you today about how to nourish the body and mind. As you can see, my name is Andrea Bales. I'm a registered nutritional therapist, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to give you some information today that I hope will be useful to you all. I'm sure that you have all been enjoying the most amazing morning out there in the countryside, having an experience of Melanie's wonderful lunches as well. So without further ado, let's get started on how we can help to support our body and our mind from a nutritional perspective. So I think we need to ask the question, how often do you pay attention to your physical and mental health? And really think about that, because our busy lives and high stress lifestyles mean that our own self-care is often the first thing that falls by the wayside. And even especially during a period of stress, that tends to be the bottom of the list, doesn't it? I know that I speak to people who are primary caregivers, who are looking after loved ones, and often they put the needs of their loved ones before their own needs. But actually, we can't function without taking care of our physical well-being, and much more importantly, our mental well-being as well. So there are 4 key ways to nourish your body and mind. And the first one is eating well. And I'm going to talk to you much more about that just in a second during this presentation. But I think it's important to mention here as well that sleep is important. Moving your body daily is essential, and calming your body and mind often should all be. Those 4 key aspects will help you to become more relaxed, and for our bodies to be able to do all the tasks and the jobs that it needs to do in order to maintain wellness. So just going back to sleeping well, we recommend that you have between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night, which for some of you may be an impossibility, or you find it very difficult to sleep, or you have disturbed sleep patterns. But sleeping well is essential, because actually whilst you're sleeping, your body's repairing. Whilst you're sleeping, your body is creating new cells, it's regenerating, it's healing. And that's when a lot of work goes on. A lot of energy is actually expelled whilst you are sleeping. So even though you feel like, you're not sort of waking up refreshed, then sometimes it's because you've been using a lot of energy overnight to get things repaired and restored. It's a little bit like pressing the computer button and doing a full reboot. But the important aspect to sleeping well is that that sleep is not disturbed, that sleep is not too light, that you're actually getting what we call REM sleep, that you're actually getting into a deep sleep for some part of that nighttime sleeping, because it's during REM sleep that actually the body's doing its hard work. It's actually doing all these restorative processes. So if you're struggling to get to sleep, if you're struggling with waking in the middle of the night and then laying awake for an hour or so, or once you've woken in the middle of the night not getting back to sleep, then it's important that you find solutions to help you get to sleep. And that's a whole nother presentation, but certainly getting good deep sleep will be very helpful. And moving your body daily, again, this is another whole topic, isn't it? But moving regularly every day is really important, especially if we are sedentary, if we're sitting behind screens all day, or if we are, office-based. Just 20 minutes sometimes is sufficient. 20 minutes walk around the block, 20 minutes of being outdoors, 20 minutes of running up and down the stairs, is enough for helping you to keep your joints mobile, helping you to keep your muscles strong and working well. And clearly, you know, exercise that's more intense will help you as well. But if you can only manage 20 minutes a day, then we don't need to go through punishing rituals every single day. And then another aspect here, of course, is to calm your body and mind often. And, you know, whether you choose to use mindfulness to do that, whether you have little apps that you tune out to and relax with those, whether you have some form of religion that gives you meditation or prayer or some form of that, because anything that you're doing that helps to relax and switch off the brain is going to be beneficial. Okay, so let's have a little look then at nourishment for your mind. And I wanted to talk about the importance of gut health for your brain, because the gut and the brain are actually very, very interlinked, and we'll learn more about how that works. So here's some quick brain basics. I'm not going to go into much detail here, just to let you know that the brain and the spinal cord make up the nervous system. The nervous system is composed of billions of cells that we call neurons. And these neurons are stimulated electrically and produce chemicals like serotonin and dopamine and gabapentin. And recent studies have shown that your brain affects your gut health and your gut affects your brain health. So we call this the gut-brain connection. And I'm going to refer to it as the gut-brain axis. It's a communication system. Now, one of the biggest nerves that we have in the human body is called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve has a huge role to play in stress. It sends signals in both directions. So from the brain to the gut and the gut to the brain, there's a constant communication system going on there. And there are studies that have shown that anybody who suffers with any form of digestive health problem, whether that's an IBS, whether it's colitis, whether it's Crohn's disease, whether it's just bloating, distension, whatever your digestive symptom is, whether it's indigestion, then it may affect the functioning of this communication system, the vagus nerve. And more recently, we are learning a lot more about the vagus nerve and how important its function is. And one of the big ways that you can actually support the vagus nerve and get it stimulated is to use cold water therapy. And there's a lot of people now, I don't know if you're on social media or anything like that, but there's a lot of people that have actually started to do cold water swimming, or cold water showers are just as effective as well. Another way to stimulate the vagus nerve is by taking up yoga and also doing breathing work, so some specific types of breath work. Personally, I use Wim Hof. He's known as the Iceman, and he has got a great app that's free to start with, and it can just get you started on those cold water showers and the breathing, just to get that vagus nerve stimulated. And it has a massive effect on the gut-brain axis, as we will learn. So we have in our system, in the nervous system, neurotransmitters, which basically do what they say on the tin. They are transmitting the neuronal cells messages. So, but did you know that many of these neurotransmitters are actually produced in the gut, in the digestive system, in the colon, by gut cells? And all the trillions of microbes that live there are responsible. So in actual fact, a large proportion of serotonin is produced in the gut. And serotonin is the feel good, feel happy hormone, or neurotransmitter, should I say. And the gut microbes also help to produce gabapentin, which is the one that's involved with controlling fear and anxiety. So you can see how the gut is really important to make sure that it is as healthy as possible, so that we're producing the right levels of neurotransmitters. Now, gut microbes, basically, we are pretty much made up of microbes. We have a gut microbiome, which is the trillions of bacteria that live within the colon. We also have an oral microbiome, where we are aware of all the microbes that we ingest daily. We also have a skin microbiome, where even, you know, on the skin, that there's certain bacteria that reside there. And for women, there is also a vaginal microbiome, which is really important for female health. So these trillions and trillions of bacteria are different. They have different families, we have different types. And I kind of refer to it as the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what we want to see is a lot more of the good bacteria. We have to have some of the bad guys there. They reside there, they live there. Some of them serve a purpose as well. And we also get, from time to time, the ugly, which is things like, you know, infections or parasites or overgrowth of fungal bacteria like candida, for example. But the microbes that live in the gut produce something that we refer to as short chain fatty acids. And short chain fatty acids actually are made by digesting fiber. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail just later on, but I think it's important for us to know that the gut-brain axis is connected through our immune system. So basically, all those microbes that are down there in our gut are predicting the health of your immunity. They are your immunity. They are your defense mechanism. So the healthier your bacteria in that gut, the healthier your immune system and the more robust your immune system is. So these bacteria play a really important role in immune health and inflammation, because they control what is passed into the body and what is excreted as well. So they're very, very in control of what's going on internally. If your immune system is switched on for too long, so if it's overstimulated by something, it can lead to inflammation, which is associated with Alzheimer's disease. So I'm just thinking of an example here. So say, for example, that you have a dairy intolerance, not an allergy, but an intolerance, but you carry on having it from time to time because it's not really that bad. It gives you an upset tummy, or it might give you a bit of a skin rash, or you might not feel that bad from it. But if you're constantly doing that to your digestive system, and your digestive system is responding with its immune response, and you continue to do that for years and years and years, then over time, what happens is the lining of the gut becomes damaged. And we call this intestinal permeability. And when the gut walls become permeable, and these are tiny, microscopic, tiny little permutations, when those permutations become damaged, or when the gut wall becomes damaged, beg your pardon, what can happen is there are molecules then of waste that's in the colon getting through those little holes and popping themselves into your bloodstream. And then the body thinks it's got an invader. So it launches an immune attack, a natural, this is the natural way to react to invaders, for the body to instigate an immune response. So just by having that tiny little bit of lactose, if you are lactose intolerant, means that you are overstimulating your immune system. And this is where we see lots and lots more inflammation within the gut, which clearly is going to have a negative effect on the production of those neurotransmitters. because remember, this is where we are producing those brain chemicals in our gut. So this is often why people, as we age, we tend to see more people saying, I just can't tolerate X, Y, and Z anymore. I just feel that my digestive system isn't working as well as it used to. It may be that the microbes in the gut are not healthy enough. And it may be that you've started to develop what we call intestinal permeability. So worth bearing in mind. So we've probably heard of probiotics. If you haven't, probiotics are the healthy gut bacteria, okay? And we know that probiotics can affect the health of the brain. The studies are there. There was one small study carried out on patients with IBS, with mild to moderate anxiety alongside their IBS, and depression as well. And they were given a course of something called Bifidobacteria longum for 6 weeks, which is a probiotic, and the symptoms significantly improved. So changing your gut bacteria may improve your brain health and your brain function. Another study using prebiotics. So prebiotics are typically the fibers that we get from foods, from plants particularly. And then remember the short chain fatty acids that I talked to you about earlier? Well, they are the things that ferment the fibers in the gut. And then that basically helps to feed the healthy bacteria. That's the very food that healthy bacteria want to thrive. And we want the healthy bacteria to thrive. We want the healthy bacteria to reproduce, to proliferate within the colonic environment. Another study found that taking a prebiotic for 3 weeks significantly reduced the amount of stress hormones in the body. And the major stress hormone we're talking about is cortisol. So just by taking extra fiber in the diet, whether that's from food or whether that's from a supplement, can actually reduce stress. So let's have a little look at nutrition for the gut brain then, because we've talked about the prebiotics and the probiotics, but there is a lot more that we need to do. So how can we feed the gut-brain axis? How can we help prevent any mental health problems, any gut health issues? Let's take a look at some of the most effective nutrients for gut-brain health. Number 1 on my list is always omega-3. And the reason that I talk about omega-3 a lot is that I know for a fact, given my 20 years of talking to people about nutrition, is that we are all deficient. Most of us are not consuming anywhere near enough omega-3s in our diet. Whether that's because we've got a fear of fats, because sadly, we have all been led to believe that eating fat was bad. It's only more recently that we now know that healthy fats are different to the bad fats. So making sure that we have good, adequate intakes of omega-3 will actually exert anti-inflammatory effects on all of the body, not just the gut, but it actually feeds the brain as well. So the brain as an organ is the most fat-dense organ. It is 70% fat. So it's a very fatty organ in the human body, one of the fattiest, I think. So you've got to feed that brain the fats that it requires. And one of those fats is omega-3. And omega-3 isn't something that we can make inside our bodies. It has to be sourced from foods. So from a food perspective, we are talking about things like our oily fish, or if you are vegan, maybe from algae, maybe from nuts and seeds and avocados and olives and olive oils. So all of these healthy fats are perfectly safe to eat, whilst at the same time thinking about the effects that it's going to have on the human brain and the mental health aspect as well. So thinking about things like brain fog and memory loss and cognitive function, just taking a daily omega-3 supplement can actually help to reduce inflammation and feed the brain the nutrients that it needs. Fermented foods. So when we are talking about fermented foods, I'm talking about things like sauerkraut, which isn't a very commonly consumed food in the UK. The Austrians and the Germans have been much better at it than we have, I have to say. And the Japanese, because the Japanese produce their own kimchi, and they also use kombucha in their diet as well. But we have pickles, you know, so any pickled foods are full of, have been fermented. So it's that fermentation process that actually produces these healthy bacteria. And the healthy bacteria are good for us, don't forget. Because the intestines and the brain are connected physically and chemically, the changes in the gut can affect the brain. So we've talked about the vagus nerve, and that's the one that sends the signals between the intestines and the brain. And they also communicate through these gut microbes, don't forget. So a number of diseases have been linked to the bad bacteria in the gut. So I've talked about having healthy bacteria in the gut, but if we've got these proliferation of unhealthy bacteria, then we actually start to see certain diseases as well. And, you know, that's another great big topic. But, you know, there are specific bacteria that we know increase your risk for specific chronic health conditions. So it's really important to make sure that we eat a variety of fermented foods regularly, daily, to restore the healthy bacteria and reduce any particular symptoms that you might be experiencing. So there was a study that showed that taking a mixture of the 3 lactobacillus and bifidobacteria strains for only 8 weeks significantly reduced the symptoms of depression. They also had reduced levels of inflammation as well. So we know that these fermented foods and these healthy bacteria are so beneficial. And there are lots of other studies, but a handful of them have examined how probiotic bacteria affect depressive symptoms in people that haven't had a clinical diagnosis of depression, but they've had things like maybe symptoms of anxiety or low mood, psychological distress, or even academic stress. So perhaps, you know, when we're doing exams or our children are taking exams, this is the time that they should be looking after their gut. And often when they're students, that's not always the case, but hey. So let's have a look at these prebiotic foods then. Now, the prebiotic foods, remember, are the foods that feed the healthy bacteria. So the healthy bacteria need prebiotics. They need fiber. So we need to source this fiber from plants, from fruits, from vegetables, because they contain these very essential short-chain fatty acids that provide the healthy, beneficial bacteria in the gut with the food that they need, which in turn supports a healthy gut-brain axis. So those short-chain fatty acids can actually affect your digestion in a number of ways. So it can help to reduce appetite. It can help to reduce cravings for sugars and carbohydrates. And that can help to reduce binging. And personally, I use this particular product here. It's a prebiotic fiber blend. It has 8 different fibers within a scoop of powder. And it's all from natural foods. So it comes from the beta glucans from oats. It's got resistant starches from from corn and green bananas and potatoes. It's got psyllium husk in there and inulin, and there's one or two others. But it's a tailored blend, and it's actually metabolized in the colon to support healthy bacteria. Oh, the other thing that this has been researched for is that it actually helps to maintain healthy cholesterol levels as well. Oh, and of course, a healthy bowel function. So making sure that you're regularly opening the bowels, which is really important. Now, the other thing that is very important is polyphenols. Now, polyphenols is kind of become a bit of a new buzzword for antioxidants. I think it kind of, it's overtaken that for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, eating the colors of the rainbow as often as possible means that you're going to give your gut and the bacteria in your gut and the brain foods that feed the bacteria. And we call this diversity. So the more colors that you eat, the more different range of fruits, vegetables, and other foods that you eat, the healthier your gut-brain axis, because the more diverse range of bacteria you're going to get. So things that are very powerful polyphenols to help the gut health are things like turmeric and resveratrol and pomegranates. Hazelnuts are particularly high in polyphenols. And then there are spices like cloves, beg your pardon, and star anise. And then, of course, we must never, ever forget the important dark chocolate or raw cacao powder that's very, very high in polyphenols and antioxidants. So including a diverse range of phytonutrients, that's not something that you can see. I'm more than happy to send anybody this handout here if you would like to email me. It just gives you a list of all the different properties of all the different colored foods, so that we know that a lot of the red foods, for example, are anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, will help with liver function. And that's the sort of thing that this handout has here. So, but the message I want to get across to you is eating a rainbow of colors to get the variety of different nutrients. Vary your choices regularly so that you can get a lot of diversity. And ideally, we need to be also looking at micronutrients as well. And these are the ones that are very important, and they should come from the foods that we eat. So if you are eating a diverse rainbow of nutrients, then you will be getting your magnesium, you will be getting your B vitamins, your B6 and your B12, and you should be getting plenty of folate if you're eating lots of green leafy vegetables. And the vitamins A, C, and E are, again, really important to take in order to help those bacteria and those neurotransmitters get produced effectively. Now, tryptophan is a brain chemical that is the precursor to serotonin. So tryptophan is what we produce before it converts to serotonin. And we find tryptophan in foods because tryptophan is an amino acid. So the only foods that you're going to find tryptophan in are protein foods. And that is things like turkey and chicken, eggs, fish and cheeses. And then we find them in peanuts and seeds, particularly pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds. So eating tryptophan-rich foods can actually help you to produce more serotonin. So particularly this time of year, as we're launching into our winter, and some of us suffer from SAD syndrome, really important to make sure your serotonin levels are kept boosted. So eating plenty of healthy animal proteins and vegetarian proteins. So now nootropics are available. Nootropics are supplements that have a beneficial effect on brain function. This particular supplement is called Viva, and it contains saffron. It's all completely natural. Everything within the product is totally natural. And saffron is very, very well known for its health benefits, especially helping with dementia It also is brilliant for those times when you are feeling very wound up and very anxious. It actually helps to sort of calm you down and switch things off a little bit. And it's, you know, it's very, very safe to take. There are no side effects. Even if you're taking an antidepressant or a sleeping tablet, you can still take this product because it is just made out of food, but it's very, very good. So I just thought I'd mention that as an addition to what we're talking about. So pulling it all together then, I think, you know, I've kind of mentioned quite a lot of information, and what we need to do now is look at the best thing we can do, put a plan into action. So number one, we need to feed the microbes with fiber and colourful foods daily. So think about your diversity. Think about eating as many different colours of the rainbow every single week. Number two, we need to add prebiotics in the form of fibre, and we maybe need to add probiotics in the form of fermented foods into our diet. And you, again, include that as part of your daily regime, whether that comes in the form of kefir or kombucha, whatever. I mean, I actually put sauerkraut or kimchi, just a spoonful of that onto my plate with whatever I'm eating, just so that I know that I'm getting a fermented food each day. You need to increase your intake of omega-3 fats. This is an essential one because we know that we need omega-3 for that brain, as well as our joints and our heart and many other aspects as well. We need to make sure that we're getting sleep, good quality sleep, not disturbed sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, so important. This allows your brain to repair, it allows your brain to renew cells overnight. So make sure sleep is really good quality. And finally, making sure we move daily, whether it's outdoors, whether it's up and down the stairs, whatever it is you have time for, just move your body daily and breathe. Take time, just do some deep breaths. Even when we're stressed, we can actually take time to breathe and just take a moment to calm down the system. So finally, this is me. These are my details. I am, as well as a registered nutritional therapist, I am a Zinzino independent partner. And I'd just like to share with you what I take alongside my diet, which I've talked about. I also take these 3 products every single day because it's my health protocol. I take my daily omega-3, which is in the form of a fish oil, but that's also available as a vegan oil as well, for those of you that are vegan. I take my prebiotic fiber blend every single morning in my yogurt. And I take my capsules, which are my polyphenols, every single day. So I know that at all times, I've got my baseline nutrition and everything is in place. If anybody would like to learn any more about the products that I've talked about, or anybody has any inquiries, then please feel free to email me and get in touch. So I do hope that that has been useful and interesting. So take care of your guts, which in turn will take care of your brains. And thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. Thanks.